Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Baruchim Habayim. We're continuing in Sefer Chavetz Chaim, Chelek Beis, Hilchos Rechilus, Klal Tes, Halacha, Hey, and Vav. Now we're going to come to explain, with the help of Hashem, another Iker Gadol in these inyanim. And by doing so, we're going to explain the fifth condition mentioned earlier, that as long as you don't cause somebody more damage than would have emerged against him in Bezdin. You should know, the whole heter, shekasavnu b'sif aleph, that we wrote in sif aleph. Hainu, that is, dafka im ha'ish, dafka if the person, shu mesaper loy, that you're telling, loy gamar adayin ha'inyan im hasha kenegdai. You're only allowed to tell a partner not to go into partnership with someone if they have not completed the deal. They haven't sealed the deal, so you could prevent it. They just, so to speak, have an oral agreement. But if they shook hands on it, whatever it means to seal the deal, as explained in the Poskim, that they made a kinyan that they cannot retract, totally bezet, depends on the as follows. If you know that because of your words that you're going to reveal to him, he's not going to go back and damage the other guy, so he's just going to be careful that it's not going to cause any damage. In other words, let's say like this. The two partners already sealed the deal, and you want to tell Ruvain Shimon's a thief. So if you know, all Ruvain will do was he'll be on high alert and he'll put out cameras, but he won't damage Shimon. He'll just watch out for himself. And you've fulfilled all the details that we clarify, that we explained in Sif Beis. Azai mutter, then it's permitted, and also v'nachin adav alasiskin. It's correct to do this. So let's say, after a shidduch was made, you want to tell the husband, by the way, I just want to, your wife is, let's do it the other way. Let's say you tell the wife, the guy has fits of anger. So if you know, she'll say, okay, he has fits of anger, so I know that when he's angry, I go shopping then. And all she does is, she watches herself, then you should tell her. But But if you know the nature of the person you're telling to is that if you tell them the matter, they will decisively accept that it's true, either because it's their nature to believe anything bad on their friend, or because there is recognizable evidence that substantiates what you're saying, or because the guy is very reliant on you, and he will immediately rule for himself, and he'll say, really? My partner's a thief, v'yasa masa, and he'll do an act. Dahainu, lachsar me'eshek negdai. He's going to back out of the agreement. Oishar and Yoni Hezik, or another kind of damage, al pi diburai, based on his words, av shalayasa masa garua yoyse me'erech hadin. Even though he's not doing an act worse than the letter of the law, shahaya yoyse bevezdin al pi diburai, that would emerge on him in Bezdin based on his words. Meaning, if you know the guy would damage him, even though this is not damage that would have been worse had you testified in Bezdin, ilu hayu shnei edim me'idim b'kedvarav. Let's say two edim would have gone to Bezdin and said, Shimon's a thief. Maybe Bezdin would say to disband the partnership. Afal pikein aser, it's still aser, because you're not testifying in Bezdin, you're telling him as a solitary witness. And since you're causing damage to the subject, which would not emerge from your words, afilim haya meir alav bezdin, even if you would have testified about him in bezdin. Ki ilu haya oimer alav inyan zeguv bezdin, because if you would have testified about this itself in bezdin, loy hoysei chaylus biad bezdin l'chayiv oisei maman ayidei diburai. Bezdin would not have been able to obligate you money through your words. Ki hu eid echad, you're just one witness. Va'ata hu goyim lanidain hezek mamish ayidei diburai. Now you're causing the subject actual damage through your words. Lefiza, according to this, im hamasaprim es ha'inyan heim shnayim. If the ones who are speaking about this subject are two, shehim ro ba'atzmam se'inyan, they saw the matter themselves, hayanira lahater be'inyan zeh. It would seem that it would be permitted for them to tell. Because if they would go to Bezdin, then Bezdin in fact would also cause the person damage. She'ein kavanasim b'sipuram, since their intent in their speaking rak l'salik hanazakim is only to remove harm. V'gam shlo yisuba v'yidei sipuram yoyser mikviyadin, and also they have to make sure that they will not be causing through their words more than the letter of the law. Dim heim roim shemigalo se'inyan yasa imay davar, because if they see that if they reveal the matter, the guy is going to do something. Shafilu bezdin lo hiya oisen ken. Even bezdin would not have done. Alpi devreim ein lahem shum yisroin mi misaper yichidi. They have no advantage over a lone speaker. Bavadei da'asur lahem l'saper, and certainly it would be also for them to speak. V'gam shelo yachsur b'zeh shara pratim hanal b'sif beis, as long as you're not missing the other details in sif beis. Ach, however, kol zeh heter da'idei shnayim, this dispensation leniency of two speakers, Le'ish shetivay lasis masa ba'atzma, to someone who their nature is to do an act on their own, einoi mayel, will only help. Rak sheyinatzlu ayidei zeh me'etzem ha'isur shel dibur ma'asurim. This is not a full-fledged heter. It's only going to save you from the etzem isur of lashon hara. Aval al kopanim, you're still an avarian if you do it. So in other words, it's only a heter on the isur of lashon hara, but you're still Messiah lidei ovrei avera. Ava akapanim mi Messiah yidei ovrei avera leinafki. Why? Sha'al yadam yaso ish shemsam leidvar iser. You're causing a guy to do an iser. Now it's not lifnei iver. Maybe we have to understand, why is it not lifnei iver? We'll see in a minute. Because halachically he's not allowed to believe what you're saying and to do an act and disband. So even though if you would have two people and they would testify in Bezdin, then Bezdin would say they should disband, but they're not in Bezdin. And now by you telling the guy is going to disband the partnership. And that you're causing that. So you're Messiah lidei ovrei avera. We have to think for a minute, why is it not lifnei iver? He would not have done it without you. But we'll think for a minute. Kol zman shleidu ala bebezin v'ershu bezin lasas kain. Because al pi din, this guy's not to believe you and to do an act to cause a loss to his friend, so long as they didn't testify about him in Bezdin, and Bezdin allowed him to do this. Kamavar le'el b'chlal vav siv tes v'siv yod. Ulavadze, besides this, kasha ma'oid. It's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that you could conjure up in a realistic case such a heter. I wrote a question mark here from about 20 years ago, and I think I'm still bothered. I'm not sure why it's so difficult. Why can't we use the case that the Chofetz Chaim used? Okay. From the fact that it's very unlikely all the details will be fulfilled. It's unlikely the speakers are going to know all the details. That they could estimate that what plenty is going to do, is going to be kedin Torah. Al kain yesh lizar. Therefore, the bottom line is you need to be careful. Not to reveal something to a person that his nature is to do an act on his own, without permission of bezin, so you're not trapped in the net of lashon hara. He who guards his mouth and his tongue, shomer mitzarais nafshay, will guard from the distresses of his soul. So, two things. Number one, can you tell a partner, hey, this guy you went into partnership with, the guy you opened this business with is a thief? Can you or can't you? Not before. Before, you need to tell him. After the fact, could you tell him? You need to know the nature of the guy. If the guy is going to do something on his own, he's going to disband the partnership, you may not tell him, bottom line. If the guy will just, he knows he went into partnership, he's not going to back out, he'll just be careful, then you have to tell him. You see? If the guy will not make a rash move on his own, he'll just be cautious, he'll set up cameras, you're mechuyev to tell him. If the guy will disband the partnership, you're not allowed to tell him. Same thing in a marriage. Can you tell a wife, by the way, this guy, how come you didn't ask me about him? He's out of his mind. Really? He's out of his mind? Most people are. No, he is bipolar. Could you tell that to a wife? Well, is it a mekach tas? I don't know. Mustama, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe because they could have done research. Maybe it's not a mekach tas. But if you know, now the woman will say, I didn't know, now I know how to navigate this guy, now I know how to deal with this guy, I know he has ups and downs. Then, you could tell. But if it's going to break the marriage, you can't say. Now, why does the Chofetz Chaim say it's misayeh alidei over avreya? Why doesn't he say it's lifnei ivar? So the Ber Mayim Chaim says that it's muchach in kedushin. You're causing the guy to do an aveira. He doesn't even know it's an aveira. It's still misayeh. I'm not sure why it's not lifnei ivar.
No battery.
I don't know why it's not lifnei ivar. Okay, I'll let you do research. But we just took a vote. We're doing one more that's very quick. Okay, for tomorrow. Here we go.
Recording stop.
Don't go anywhere.